Hey folks, this is John Miller, Executive Editor with WB News. We would like to welcome you to Ask the Experts, featuring John Halderman of Beacon Wealth Management. John is the founder, owner, and certified wealth strategist at Beacon Wealth Management. You can find out more at bwmwb.com. And now live from the studios of the Exponent Telegram in Clarksburg, West Virginia, let's Ask the Expert. Welcome to Ask the Expert with John Halderman of Beacon Wealth Management. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, thank you very much. Always enjoy being here.
Well, you know, the new year, everybody's talking about, hey, I got to get to the gym. I got to get fit. I'm going to go pump some iron. I know you spend some time in the gym and everything, but there's a different kind of fitness people need to be concerned about, especially coming into a new year in 2025, and that's fiscal fitness.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, John. You know, and it's funny because when you look at statistics, no different than fitness, you know, most people who do well, they do well because they came up with some type of strategy, plan, something that got them, you know, going. And obviously, new year, new change, everyone wants that. Well, same thing with your fiscal finances. You know, you got to be thinking of what are you going to do that's different, or is, you know, you got to assess, is what am I doing? Is it working? You know, because for a lot of people, they don't really take the time to plan it. They just use the conveniences and automations. As an example, I was looking at several 401ks over the last couple of weeks. And what I noticed is I asked the people, I said, how did you come up with how much you were going to save? And they said, well, when they enrolled, they did my automatic enrollment. And I said, so you just took it. I said, you never really thought about your age or when you want to retire? And they said, never thought about it. I just did it. And I said, how'd you come up with your allocation? Well, they took the target date allocation, which means the year you turn 65, they have a target date. And I said, well, here's the problem, is that those are generically designed for someone who absolutely doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And I said, and the issue is, yeah, it's better than nothing, but clearly it's not better than planning. And, you know, and that's the big thing, is that this is the time of the year that you got to start thinking, you know, what am I trying to accomplish? Where am I at? And are the actions I'm taking suitable to help me accomplish those goals? Because if you're not doing that, it's not going to happen by accident, you know.
Well, you know, I know you work out a lot. I used to. I need to make more time for it. But the one thing that I always remember, because I got into, you know, I was going to the Y 5 days a week. I was running outside. Is that consistency.
Absolutely.
So apply that to financial planning.
Well, you know, consistency, I would apply more like going to a doctor, okay? Like with working out, you got to do it every single day. Well, you don't have to worry about your finances every single day because you'll drive yourself crazy looking at the market and this and that. But like going to a doctor or going to a dentist, you at least have to have an annual fitness, you know, some type of assessment or semi-annual, you know, because if you do it that way and you do it thoroughly, you go through a checklist. And I tell people, you know, it's a simple checklist. You know, you got to state, number one, you know, what's your intentions? You know, what are your goals? Whatever you want to call them, because like you can't just say, hey, I'm 60 and I want to retire at 61. No, if you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, it's better to say that now. Now, if you are close to retirement, it's okay, you know, but you just have to say, here's where I am, you know, in terms of what year I want to retire, how much money I need, where am I going to get that money at? And then we got to be able to make sure that we game plan for all of that type of stuff. And I will say, the younger you are in terms of accumulation, the better off you're going to be. But even at person 50 and older, that's when it's really the biggest, because now you're in that retirement red zone. You know, I call the retirement red zone the 20 years before retirement and the 20 years potentially after retirement, because the game changes. You know, like when you're younger, if you stick something in a fund and it's growth oriented, well, with time on your side, historically, time works out to get decent results. But when you're older, you're pulling money out. And so when you're pulling money out, you know, time's not your leverage at this point. And so the strategy you have has to be completely different. And so no different than our own health. You know, when we're younger, I used to be able to eat anything. I could stick any, you know, I love Christmas trees. You know, I used to be able to eat 10 of them at one time. Now I eat those things, my sugar shoots up to over 300. You know, so it's, our bodies are different. Well, time is different when it comes to money. We got to think differently. And so, you know, I tell you, if it's the beginning of the year and you're thinking about that stuff, then sit down with an expert. No different than you would with your health, no different than you would by going and hiring a trainer. If you don't know it yourself, there are people out there that do know it, and they are designed to help you. Like my team, we're here to help people. Sometimes people will say to me, "Well, I didn't think I had enough money," or I was a little scared. No, don't let those factors prevent you from achieving what you want to achieve.
You know, you guys, like when I'm thinking about working out and things like that's individual discipline. You've got to be, committed to it. You guys you personally will sit down with your clients and you talk about structure and you help them develop that financial discipline that we've talked about so many other times. Explain that process.
Yeah, you know what? Working out is so much harder. I mean, it's so much harder. And the reason why I say this is you got to go there every single day. You got to go through the work, okay? Here, you got to come in. We're going to ask you questions. We're going to get to understand you. We're going to put a plan in place, a strategy in place, but then we're also going to help you implement it. And when you implement it, you don't have to make daily adjustments. Just like I was saying earlier, you do definitely need to make at least semi or annual adjustments, but there's a huge difference between working out 3, 4, and 5 times a week versus coming to 1 or 2 sessions a year. Because I tell people, we have lots of ways people can engage with us. We have educational events throughout the year. We have calls that we make. We do all kinds of stuff. And I always tell them, you don't have to participate in 100% of all those things to be successful. But you can't skip year after year. You can skip 1 year maybe and get away with it, but you got to be just consistently on an annual or semi-annual basis. And that, like I said, is far easier than hitting the gym 4 and 5 times a week.
Well, they say in weightlifting and in physical fitness, no pain, no gain. But when it comes to financial planning, if you get with the right people, you sit down, you get that strategy in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then it's pain-free game.
Absolutely. It puts you in a position where you have confidence, because that's the biggest thing. And, I always ask myself, if something were to happen to me today, whether I died, became incapacitated, whether I was going to retire, whatever it may be, what position does that put my family in? And am I confident that they're going to be taken care of? And if you say no to any of that, well, then guess what? You're going to need some help. Now, if you can confidently say yes, then good for you, because you're set. But for most people, that's not the case. And so I tell them, if you can't answer yes confidently to those type of questions, then let's get together.
John, always just so much great information. Anything to wrap up with?
Nope. I think that's the thing. Don't wait. Because the one thing, just like everything in life, if more you put off going to the doctor, the more you put off taking care of yourself, the more you put off cleaning your teeth, the worse it gets. And so if you can't answer yes, then you got to say, okay, when will I take action? If I don't take it now, when's ever going to be a convenient time? And so I'd always say, new year, new opportunity. Let's get going with this.
Excellent information here from John Halterman of Beacon Wealth Management. Again, thanks for joining us on Ask the Expert. Until the next time.